Hello, Melissa May Dillon here, live on my personal page on Facebook, and then we upload it to my YouTube channel at Melissa May Dillon. If you're on the YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe, drop a comment if you have any, if you're on Facebook or on YouTube, drop a comment if you have any questions or if there's anything you want to talk to. I'd love to hear about it. I wanted to come on and talk about the biggest lesson I've learned in making millions. So if you don't personally know my story, in 2019, I had been a corporate worker for a while. I was finally making decent, in my mind, a decent amount of money, $60,000 a year after teaching in the public school system, making around $30,000 to $40,000 a year. And in January of 2020, I decided to quit my job. In that first year, I built my business, Insurance Exam Queen, up to $136,000, which was amazing. And then I went on to make $500,000 in the next year, and then the year after that we made $1.5 million, and we've since made $2 million overall, and it's been $2 million plus overall, and it's been an absolutely amazing, awesome, fantastic journey. And in between, I got married, I had a baby. It's been amazing. But one of the things one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in making a million is that if you want to change your story around money, you have to change your story around money. So our whole life is a story. Like, the story that we're telling ourselves is the life that we end up living. So when we tell ourselves a story that life is hard, this sucks, my job sucks, everything sucks, that's the life that you end up living. We think that we're speaking in response to our life, but we're actually creating our life in the way that we speak. So when it comes to money, most of us have a story. It's too expensive, I can't afford it, that's out of my league. Like, the way in which we speak about money determines and dictates our relationship with money. The story that we have about money determines and dictates the story that we end up living about money. So this was something that really landed for me today, because, David, my husband, he's absolutely amazing and wonderful. And I do remember one of the very first nights that we had met in person, the first few days that we had met, he was asking me questions. And so I had already started the Insurance Exam Queen business. This was in August of 2022. So I hadn't yet made six figures, but I was on the way, and I was beginning to make, around $200 a day. At that point, I was getting to a point of being able to replace my income, my corporate income, by the time I had met him. And, I remember him asking me, what do I wanted? What did I see with my life? And I had some of the most expansive conversation. I was like, I want to own a bunch of land. I want my family to be able to come and visit. I want to be able to have fun stuff. I want to have four-wheelers. I want to be able to go adventuring with my family. And that was such an expansive conversation. That was a conversation where, and that story about money wasn't I need to wait until I make money. I have debt that I have to take care of. Like, I didn't hold back anything in terms of what I was dreaming. There was no hesitation to my dream, to my story about what I wanted. And I'm pretty sure when I saw his face, it was one of the reasons that he fell in love with me. But we were sitting down today. We went out for breakfast, because breakfast restaurants are one of my favorite things ever. And we have childcare during the day. So we took a Valentine's Day breakfast instead of a Valentine's Day evening. And I was like, we need to talk about all the things that we want to do, with our land, with our property, with our life and everything. And I literally wrote a list of all the things. And part of his struggle was but we got to do this first, and we have to take care of that. And I'm like, stop. I'm like, whatever we're talking about right now is as if there's already all the money in the world available to us. Stop thinking we have to do this first and then pay off that first and then worry about this and then grow that and then build this. I'm like, just stop. I was like, let's just have the most expansive conversation. There's no limits, there's no worries, there's no doubts, there's no fears. And we're just talking about what we want. What would we do right now if all the money in the world was available to us and we could just do whatever we wanted to do? Because money basically is just a form of permission. In order to do this, what am I going to eat today? Depends on how much money I have. What am I going to do today? Depends on how much money I have. Money is just a form of permission. But it really landed for me today that, and this is something that I've been working through because like I'm the provider for the family, right? So like all the money that we live on, all the bills that are being paid are paid through by the money that I earn in my business. And being in that provider role is something, you know, I was learning from Melanie and Lair. So she's a woman that I learn and listen to all the time. And she was a woman who was homeless in her car in 2016, figured out how to fall in love with her life, started teaching other people how to fall in love with their life, and has since built a $100 million brand, and is continuing to teach women. In fact, she has a free masterclass right now called Women Inc., and it's like making your $1 million brand. So go to her page, Melanie Ann Lair, and sign up for that because I know it's going to be epic and amazing. So anyway, she was talking about that responsibility. The feeling of responsibility is the quickest way for a woman to slow down her money. That when we feel responsible, it puts us in this energy that actually slows down the dial on how much money that we can bring in and call into our life. And I was realizing that being the provider puts me in this position of feeling responsible and kind of heavy all the time. And my conversations around money have not been as expansive as I would like to. They've been way more expanded, like way more expanded than they've ever had before, right? We're making multi-millions of dollars. But I realized that I had got a little bit too caught up in the provider money. And so I just wanted to have an incredibly expansive conversation around money and to stop talking about money as I got to pay this and I got to do that and I got to do this bill, or it's too expensive, or we can't afford it yet, or you know, like whatever. I'm like, I don't want to have the yets and I don't want to have the doubts and I don't want to have we have to do this first. I just want to have so much fun and expansion in relation to money. So we started having a different conversation around money. And it just landed for me today how much the way we speak about money is the story that we write about money. And so if you want to experience money in a different way, you have to speak and live money in a different way than what you're currently living. And a big piece of that is can you have a conversation about money where you're not thinking about, well, I have to pay this, I have to do this debt first, I have to handle this, or I have met so many people who can't even go beyond, well, once I pay this, take care of this, save that, then I'll think about what I would do after. Like they can't even put their imagination just a little bit further than their current situation. And I was running into a little bit to that with David, and we had a little bit of a heated moment where I was like, I need you to imagine with me. You imagine people imagine all the time with fear. But there's so much resistance to imagination in a positive way, imagination in a creative way, imagination in like this most fun, fantastical way. Like something switches between children and adulthood where imagination turns from like fun and awesome into like worry and fear. And I'm like, we've got to switch the way that we interact with our imaginations, right? So I was like we need to have a fun and expansive conversation around our money. You have to talk about money differently for money to be different. So if you continue in conversations like, this is too expensive, I can't afford that, must be lucky to have that amount of money, if those are the only ways that you talk about money, that's going to be the only experience that you have with money. Everything will always be too expensive. Everything will always be just out of your reach. In order to have a different experience about money, you have to speak differently about money. And it can begin with just imagining, if I had all the money available to me, what would I do? What would I do right now? And so that's why I have so I'm actually changing the name, Magic Money Membership, but I have a group where we change the way that we talk about money. And it's a membership that I have, and I actually go live 2 times a month for Q&As where people can come in and ask me questions and talk to me about making money, talk to me about building businesses. And we've had a lot of success in that group, and it's amazing. And we have different conversations about money in that group. It's like a safe little place on the internet where you can have these expanded conversations around money, where nobody's going to jump in with negative energy around, well, that's too expensive, can't afford that, only the lucky make that much money, and then let's eat the rich because they suck. Like, this is a place on the internet where you can have these expanded fun conversations around money. And so one of the things that I posted today in the Facebook group was, Finish this sentence. If I had all the money, if I had an unlimited amount of money available to me, I would ... And what would you do? What would you do if you had an unlimited amount of money available to you? Because we ultimately do. When we can tap into that frequency, then we have unlimited amounts of money available to us. Money is just energy. And the way in which we speak about it, feel about it, talk about it, it all determines how we're able to interact with it and use it. And one of the key things that really helped shift my perspective was like thinking about money as a person. So most of us, if money was a person, it would be like, oh my God, you barely just got here. Like we barely get any time together. You think about payday on Friday. You just show up on a Friday night. You're barely here before you leave again. All my bills get paid on Friday and there's hardly any money left. You're barely here, and then I have to struggle all week before you finally show up again. You never hang out with me long enough. You're never enough. You're never here. If you had a friend who spoke to you like that, would you want to hang out with that friend? No, you would not. You would stop hanging out with that friend. So when you talk to money like that, when you treat money like that, when that is your money story, money does not want to hang out with you. So if your conversations are, I'm broke, I can't afford that, that's too expensive, then you're going to continue having that type of story around money. Now, again, you can tap into a positive imagination around money. It's not like we never talk about, I have to financially take care, like I have to pay bills. Yes, you do. I do have to take care of stuff. I'm not saying you never talk about that again and you pretend that that doesn't exist, but can you just also pretend? Can you just also pretend that you had an unlimited amount of money, and what would you do? And how fun would it be? Just dig into the imagination of that. What would you do if you had an unlimited amount of money available to you right now? And so many people are just like stunted by that question. Like they can't even begin to answer it because our conversations around money, it's too expensive, I can't afford it, or rich people suck. So if you did have an unlimited amount of money to you, you would be like, okay, now I'm Elon Musk and everyone hates Elon Musk and now everyone would hate me because I have an unlimited amount of money and I don't want that. I need everybody to like me and I need everybody to love me, even though that's never going to happen. I was watching Landman, and oh my God, I love Taylor Sheridan, the one who writes Landman and all these other Yellowstone and 1883 and 1923. Like he is so friggin' incredible. But there was a scene where the guy Monty, who owns the oil fields, he was talking about, he's like, people are going to hate us. I just accept that. Like it is what it is. They're always going to talk shit. They're always going to hate us. Like, I don't care. I've moved beyond that. Like people are going to say whatever people are going to say, and it has nothing to do with us. Our job is to create our reality. And the way that we speak about money is the way in which we're going to interact with money. So if we speak about money like it's too expensive, not enough, always in debt, always a struggle, always hard, always sucky, always never enough, that will be your experience with money. So if you want to have a different experience with money, you must speak about money differently. Money is readily available to me. Money loves to come to me. And if those feel weird to you to say, then just at least spend some time in the imagination of money. Take 5 minutes every day to say, if I had an unlimited amount of money, I would blah, 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 blah. And your answer may change every single day. And that's totally cool. And that's totally fine. But you're at least giving yourself some space to think about money differently, to have a different money story. And you can have a different money result from that situation. Again, we use so much of our imagination for worry, fear, and doubt. If we can just turn the dial a little bit and use our imagination for fun, for excitement, if we can just use our imagination to if I had an unlimited amount of money, I would, like plant a bunch of trees, like feed everybody. I don't care what it is. But buy your favorite horse, buy your favorite car. I don't care what it is. Just spend time imagining. Change the way you think about money. Change the way you conversate with money. Change the way that you tell your story about money. Because if your story is, I'm always broke, it's too much expensive, I can't afford it, I'm never going to have it, then that's going to be your story. But you can change your story, and it begins by imagining different things about money, speaking about money, imagining money if it's a person. If you sit there and complain all the time about money, that person is not going to want to hang out with you. Money as a person would not hang out with you. So you want to change the way you talk about money, change the way you feel about money, and you can begin by simply using your imagination in a positive way where money is fun, empowering, awesome, able to allow you to connect with people, to do amazing and incredible things. Even if it's like, if I had an unlimited amount of money, I would buy everyone their favorite thing and they would never know that it came from me, but it would be so amazing to watch them be all happy. Like, you get to do anything. If I had an unlimited amount of money, I would, whatever, I would build housing for all the homeless. And I would build my own theme park with purple dinosaurs because I'm madly in love with purple dinosaurs. Like, it doesn't matter. But if you can spend time thinking about what you would do if you had an unlimited amount of money, you begin to change your mind about money. You begin to change your frequency about money. You begin to change your vibrations about money. And you can begin to change your story with money. Because, again, our whole life is the story that we tell. If we tell a story that money is too hard, money is not enough, money is never there, money is not available, I'm always broke, I'm always poor, that's what you're going to keep living. But you have the power to change that. And it starts with how you imagine money. Imagine I had an unlimited amount of money, what would I do? And just allow yourself to go wherever it is you want. Tap into that childlike imagination. I would buy a soft serve ice cream machine so I can have soft serve ice cream anytime I want. Cool. Like, just allow yourself. You know what I would do? I would build a coffee shop, a bakery, and a place where your kids can hang out. I would have this huge community center where everyone can get together. It would be a coffee shop, but it would be like an intimate coffee shop, like a fun place that you'd want to hang out. It would have a children's center, like an indoor and outdoor center. It would have like a library reading area in it. It would have like games available, like an arcade center. It would have like rooms where you can do classroom and you can do lessons and the community could get together for like teaching. It would have a dance floor. It would be like a club night. Like, I would do so many things with my unlimited amount of money. And when I spend time thinking about those fun things, again, I'm changing the dial. I'm changing my frequency. I'm changing the direction that I'm going with money. If the only time you talk about money is negative, sad, and awful, then all your interactions with money are going to be negative, sad, and awful. You've got to have fun conversations with money. You got to be able to move beyond your current circumstances, move beyond your current fear, move beyond your current limitations, and just imagine. Imagination is free. It's available to you in your head. You don't even have to tell anybody that you're doing it. It can be just free and only to you. Write it out. That is super powerful and super amazing when you can begin writing it out. Just do this journal prompt. If I had an unlimited amount of money, I would, and just write out everything. And again, do it every day. Do it every day. Do it every hour. If you really want to change the way that you think about money, if you really want to change the way that you experience money, if you really want to change the amount of money that's coming into you, coming into your wallet, coming in that's available to you, especially as women, it has to be fun. It has to be fun and expansive. As soon as we feel responsible, it just shrivels up our money flow. It just, because women are not meant to be responsible. We're meant to be free flowing and fun. We are water and we do not like to be contained. We've got to be moving. We've got to be the depths of the ocean. You cannot contain the ocean and we cannot be contained. Okay. So when you try to put responsibility as it tries to contain us, it tries to put us in a structure, and that is, we like some structure. We like to be able to move around in a river. Like, we have some structure, but if we become the structure, water cannot be a structure. Water can be held contained within a structure. Water can move around a structure, but we cannot be a structure. Water is not a structure. And women, the feminine energy is very much like water. And when we put the pressure on us to provide, to make all the money, again, I'm in that spot, right? Like, I am the provider for my family. But again, it's the way in which I think and feel about money that's going to dictate what actually happens. So if I think about money as responsible, and I have to, and I got to, and I must, it's going to feel heavy, it's going to feel hard, it's going to feel difficult, and it's going to shrink my ability to make money. But if I think about money as fun, as expansive, as creativity, as growth, it expands my ability to make more money. It allows me to bring more money in. And the way in which you talk about money, the story you write about money is the story you're going to live about money. So if you want to change your story about money, you have to change your story about money. Okay? It's up to you. Oh my gosh, Janie, I'm so excited. I started writing out my thoughts and wishes in a journal, started February 1st and haven't missed one day. That's fantastic. Keep it up. And this year, 2025, is a year that I'm going live. I have gone live every single day in 2025, actually since starting December 2nd. So I have gone live every single day since December 2nd, which is amazing. Sometimes I go live here on my Facebook page. Sometimes I go live in my monthly membership. Sometimes I go live on my Insurance Exam Queen channel. But I have gone live every single day in 2025. This year is going to be a magical year. So many shifts, so many amazing changes, so many things that are happening. And I'm super excited about it. So change your story about money. If you want a different story, if you want to live a different story about money, you have to change the way you talk about money. And you could begin by simply imagining, if I had an unlimited amount of money, I would. Finish that sentence. Write it out every single day. Imagine what I would do if I had an unlimited amount of money, I would. And don't tell me that you can't do it, because I will ask you about money and you'll be like, well, I got to do this and I got to do that. And then I'm worried about this and I'm worried about that. And then if this happens, like, you do it all the time. You just do it in the negative side of things. Flip it to the positive side of things. Flip it to the expansive side of things. Flip it to the fun side of things. And if you begin doing it every day, more than once a day, I guarantee you're going to see a massive shift in your life. You're going to see a massive shift in the amount of money you bring. And you can do this on any topic. If you always tell a story that dating and relationships and marriages are hard, that's the story you're going to live. But if you can imagine a different story, if you can imagine a different scenario, if you can imagine the epic, most amazing relationship of your life, you're opening up your possibility to make that happen. Every time you tickle a negative option, you're calling that in. Why would you do that? But every time you're tickling a possible positive situation, you're calling it in. Yes, let's do that. So I love you all. If you want to change your story about money, change your story about money. It's up to you. Use your positive imagination. Flip from the negative to the positive. If I had an unlimited amount of money, I would. And start there and do it every single day and feel more fun, more expansive around money, instead of feeling limited and restricted and broke and too expensive and I can't afford and I can't have. Stop that conversation. I will. I have. I'm excited to. Flip the way you speak about money. The way that you speak about money is going to be the way in which you experience money, and you can change the way that you speak about money, and thus it'll change the way that you experience money. So I love you all. Have an amazing day. Watch this a few times until it really sinks in, because I am guaranteeing you this will be a huge, massive shift if you undertake this. If you were to do this every single day, such a massive shift. And I'm going to do it too. Like, I'm going to start really tapping into this feeling and this frequency. Make money fun instead of making money so serious. And money, again, like, if money was a person and you're serious only all the time, money would not want to make fun with you. Money would not want to hang out with you. You can have serious every once in a while. I like a good drama. I like a good, tough story. But I also really love fun and expansive stories. Okay? So have some fun, have some expansive stories. Remove your limitations, remove your fears, remove your worries, remove your doubts. Head into the positive imagination of money. If I have an unlimited money, I would. What would you do? And dig into that positive imagination. No limits, no barriers, no restrictions. What would you do? All right, I love you all. Have an amazing day. And I don't know when I'll see you again, because I go live in all these different places. But see you later. Bye.